Oh, ma'am, you need to sit down. You've just been in an accident. You know, whoa!
A sexually transmitted zombified disease from Contracted. Explained. Hello everyone and welcome back to another terrifyingly insane video with Marvelous Videos. Today we are going to bring one of the most horrific movies to you. So during this COVID pandemic, we've all learned how risky and scary it is to catch a disease. Oh, and good luck to you, especially if it is a sexually transmitted disease. We have been scared of vampires, ghosts, monsters, and unbelievably crazy creatures. Well, now is your time to get ready to be terrorized by a rather skinny American girl. Contracted is a very horrifying movie that released back in 2013. It is written and directed by the brilliant director Eric England, who is known for writing and directing body horror movies. If you are expecting to be thrilled by some graphic transformation horror, then this movie is for you. This film is difficult to watch without clenching your fists.
Not that.
An absolute disaster of a one-night stand is, well, most definitely a woman's worst nightmare. If having unprotected sex, that too with a stranger, could lead to a sexually transmitted disease, who would go ahead with it anyway? The protagonist, or the lead actor of the film, is the phenomenal Najara Townsend. And let us warn you, she looks nothing like herself in this film.
What the fuck?
Is it a zombie attack or a one-night stand gone wrong? All your questions are soon about to be answered. So Contracted really stands its ground in showing us how to contract a disease and then what it does to you. Capturing that disease is Najara Townsend, who is pretty much confused in the entire film because for the life of her, she cannot figure out what is wrong with her body and how can she fix it. Is it an STD or probably something even worse? Of course, her life is a major mess aside from all that, and she seems to be the center of attention who is desired by both the sexes. But really, what is going on with this midlife transformation that she seems to be having? You might have to prepare yourself to watch certain things that you might not have ever wanted to watch. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Samantha, tell us what's wrong.
You wanna know what's wrong? Fine!
Don't Touch Anyone, Contracted 2013. The film begins when we see Samantha, that is Najara Townsend, talking over the phone with her friend Alice, who is played by Alice McDonald, and she is asking Sam to come to the party at her house. With a worried look, it seems Sam is kind of reluctant to go to the party without her girlfriend Nikki, played by Katie Stageman. Well, she probably should have listened to her sixth sense and not gone to the party because she has no idea what is going to happen to her there. Now, at the party after meeting Alice, there is a strange man who keeps staring at Sam. The way that the scene is shown, it does look kind of spooky.
Just do it. Think about it.
We then meet a guy named Riley, who is played by Matt Mercer. Apparently, he knows Sam since high school and has always been in love with her, even though he is well aware that she is a lesbian. This guy does not give up on any hope of trying to win her over. The way that Alice talks to Sam, it is pretty clear that she is not a major fan of her girlfriend Nikki. Alice tries her best to get Sam to do some shots and get her drunk, and obviously, she succeeds because, guess what? Nikki never showed up to the party, so Sam is kind of pissed at her. Well, this party sure seems to be heading towards some unpleasant surprises. Remember the guy who kept staring at Sam? Yeah, he finally goes up to her and tries to smooth talk his way into impressing Sam. His name is BJ, by the way. He offers a spiked drink to Sam, who is clearly not in her senses at this point. She has that drink, and it is clear that BJ just wants to have sex. Now, because Sam is already pretty mad at Nikki, and now she is on drugs as well, so Sam and BJ end up being intimate in his car. That was not a very pleasant one-night stand, definitely. The next morning, she wakes up completely hungover, and it is obvious that she does not have a great relationship with her mother as well. Looks like she is also waiting to hear about a scholarship because she wants to go ahead with botany and she is growing some kind of flower for the same. So guess we can say nothing is going the way she wants in her life.
Well, I'm gonna go get ready to see Nikki.
Oh, what are you two gonna do?
You know, girly things.
From the looks of it, you can tell that Sam looks a bit more pale than usual. Well, maybe it is just a hangover. In the next scene, we can find Sam waking up in a pool of blood in her bed. Naturally, she thinks she is on her period, but that is way too much blood to scare anyone. Later, we find out that apparently the police showed up at Alice's house looking for some guy. Could it be the same guy that Sam had sex with? When she is at work as a waitress, she tries to take the orders from a customer, but she hears a high-pitched sound inside her ears. Voices, as if something is talking to her very loudly. Then she goes to the bathroom to try and get herself together. And guess what? Once again, she is doused in way too much blood. Oh, it is getting spookier by the minute. Her stomach starts to hurt pretty bad, and another surprise, it looks like she has some kind of rash beneath her belly, which seems to be growing upwards. It looks like weird dead cells, and strange marks appear all over her body. The doctor tells her it's probably just some head cold and skin rash. Oh, but is it? She seems to think it could be an STD. Well, it does look like some STD straight from hell. You will not believe this, but Contracted was in fact shot in just 15 days. That's right. The whole entire film took place in a half a month's time. Now, Sam goes to meet Alice, and one of her eyes has turned completely bloody red. Yeah, it looks like blood is filling inside her eye. Now, some more information about that strange guy. Apparently, the police are telling people to not come into contact with that guy because matters surrounding him are pretty damn dangerous. Oh, which girl would ever want to hear that after a one-night stand with the guy in question? A lot of changes are happening to our dear Sam. She has started looking creepier now. Her teeth seem to be rotting and they have started falling off, literally. Both of her eyes have turned red and filled with blood. Her skin looks even more pale than ever before, and she looks kind of skeleton-like. Oh God, that is definitely not a good look. She is scared what is happening with her and does not know what to do. Even her hair seems to be falling off now. Oh, and apparently she cannot feel the burning hot water coming from the shower. Okay, that is completely insane.
What is this?
What did you do?
You think I did this?
It is about to get creepier and scarier now. Her nails are coming off from her skin, like literally right from the root. One of it even falls into a customer's food. At this point, we bet you are clenching your fists at these terrible and graphic scenes. She goes to her friend who is a drug dealer because she is a recovering addict, and right now, all she wants is to feel a bit better about her situation. Along with Alice, even her mother tries to help her, but Sam feels on the edge now.
Any man that'll give you the time of day. Are you gonna stay sober this time?
Are you crazy? You shut your mouth!
No! You listen to me!
She goes to Nikki's house, but guess what? Just because Nikki tells her she does not want to be with Sam anymore, she fights her to the death. Yeah, she just killed Nikki and ran off. Now, finding Alice, she tries to get Alice back because she feels vulnerable and lonely. But Alice threatens to call the police, and so even Alice is dead. Sam literally tore a part of Alice's neck just with her teeth, and blood came gushing out. That is right. Sam is suddenly on a killing spree. And as if this was not enough, you are about to see something even more strangely oozy and creepy at this point. Now, Sam calls Riley over to Alice's house to meet him and have sex with him. Oh, you do not want to see her face at this point. Definitely looks like she could be turning into a zombie. Now, while having sex, Riley starts to feel a bit strange, as if something could be biting her insides. Oh, and now some kind of crawling insect falls off on the ground right when they stop having sex. Boy, isn't that scary. A completely confused and terrified Sam now runs away in her car, and she is driving with one eye totally red and the other that kind of looks white, as if the eyeball is gone. She then meets with an accident, which crashes her car, and she should be dead now. But she wakes up looking totally like a zombie now, and even behaving like one when the police try to approach her. Her mother tries to calm her down, and you will not believe how the movie ends. Sam, who is now a total zombie, attacks her own mother, and there we have it. The film sure does end with a bang. That was a lot of scary and terrifying minutes for anyone. This movie is clearly not for the weak. Now, let us find out what exactly was this disease. What was the zombified disease? So in the very first scene of the film, we saw the dead body of a girl who was being raped. And as it turns out, it was the same strange man from Alice's party. with whom Sam later hooked up with. It was after that night that Sam slowly started to show signs of this weird disease. Looks like it is safe to say that this zombified disease is clearly a sexually transmitted disease. It was passed on to Sam from that guy named BJ. One most likely transmitter could be that gross insect we saw in the film. Ever since Sam contracted this zombie disease, we have seen a lot of gory, bloody scenes in the movie. She was seen suffering from terrible stomach aches, which only kept getting worse by the day. And it also was evident that it probably takes around 3 whole days for the zombified disease to set in completely inside its victim's body, which is why we saw Sam's transformation over the period of 3 days. On day 1, it most likely started with a terrible headache and made her feel hungover, and she also experienced a lot of blood loss. You would faint if you saw that much blood all at once. This was also the day when she started looking a little bit more pale than usual. Everyone who saw her assumed she was sick just by her looks. She also started hearing voices inside her head every time someone else tried to talk to her, and that was definitely of no help to her already failing body. Day 2 was when things got a little too much for Sam to handle. One of her eyes turned blood red, and it was definitely no eye infection. It was the disease slowly settling inside its host. She also developed a kind of rash on the right side under her belly, which looked like weird blue and gray stretch marks, and that is a rash which did not stop growing. She also started puking out blood, so a lot more blood loss than the previous day. Obviously, her skin kept getting even more white and she looked thinner somehow. And then came the final D-Day, when the main transformation happened. With both of her eyes scarlet red, it looked like someone had poked it with a pin. While she was brushing, she realized her tooth had literally came off. Now that is something that surely does not happen to a grown-up. This is when we find out that her teeth are actually rotting by the minute. And as if that was not enough, her nails gave away her disease. They turned brown and started to fall right off of her skin like a piece of crust paper.
What does that mean?
You're sure this happened after you had sex? Unprotected sex?
Yes.
It looked like even her mouth was starting to rot with weird and ugly brown moss growing around it. Can you imagine how weird her kiss with Riley must have been at this point? She was obviously exhibiting signs that of being a zombie, because even her hair fell off when she touched it while taking a shower. Now, of course, after the accident, a normal human being would not have survived it to see another day, but Samantha definitely did. It was like watching the dead rise up to their feet. Well, that is what it looks like to watch a whole zombie movie. And by the end of it all, she even walked like one. Of course, let us not forget that she kind of did have sex with Riley after turning into a zombie. And we already know that this zombified disease is sexually transmitted, so it might not be surprising if we found out that even Riley was slowly turning into a zombie. Eric England's body horror masterpiece is sure to satisfy the genre fans who enjoy being grossed out. Contracted has a high ick factor. Townsend amazingly portrays Sam's panic and eventually violent frustration in the face of such external decay. Watching Contracted is like watching a slow-motion train wreck of a soul. Stuff oozes and crawls out of places where things should not ooze or crawl out of. It is a serious film with almost no humor at all. Townsend carries the film, and we see her go through all the stages of grief, loss, and anger. As a horror fan, this is going to be an exciting watch for you. Well, with that, guys, we come to the end of another amazing video. We hope you enjoyed watching it. Make sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button on your way out. Until then, stay safe and have a good one. I'm your host, Tia Ayer.
Come to me. Come to me. You can relax. I'm here to help you. It's gonna be okay.